Hi, this is Shannon Chappelle, and this is part 2 of explaining IDA and the IEP process to parents. From now, I'm going to be acting like I'm speaking to a parent. So from the onset of the IEP process, the referral process, the special education process, parents and students really need to be included at every step of the way. Educators need to be transparent with them, provide clarification, and try to speak in typical language that anybody can understand. Sometimes educators, we get wrapped up into what we're doing and throwing around big words, but the parents really need to understand what we are doing, so we need to speak as clearly as possible. The parent and student involvement in the IEP process is imperative. This is a document that will carry through till graduation with them. It is important that the student and the parents' voices are heard and reflected in this document. Their input needs to be considered every step of the way. The referral process can be made after, if a parent or a teacher calls, what in Virginia we call them CAT team meetings, calls a meeting and says, hey, I want to talk about this grade or the student's behavior or distractibility or talking. Then the team would come up with little modifications that they can make in the classroom to try to make the learning environment a little more compatible for the student. If those modifications do not work, then they would move forward with the referral. When the referral is moved through, you would move to the evaluation process. After the evaluation process, before the evaluation process, the parent would need to sign written consent for the student to be able to be evaluated for special education services. They would also need to receive a copy of the procedural safeguards. During the evaluation, the student will be evaluated using a variety of tools to determine their eligibility. This shall not take more than 60 days at all. For a student to be declared eligible for special education services and other related services, it must be determined that the student is a student with a disability and in need of special education services. There are 13 different categories that a student can become classified under. The IEP components, first is the statement of the present level of achievement and functional performance. This includes how their disability is affecting what's they're learning in the classroom, or not what they're learning, how they learn in the classroom. How is it affecting their ability to learn? What are the barriers that we are seeing? Then there needs to be SMART goals, and by SMART I mean sensitive, time-managed goals. They need to be measurable annual goals. So you would make one overall objective and 3 goals under it so that they can meet the benchmark goals. Those goals will be reviewed annually. Unless the student isn't making any progress, then the parent will consider coming back, or you can ask the parent to come back and talk about modifying the goal. A statement of all special education services related supplementary aids services needs to be on the IEP, as well as program modifications for supports in school, how much time they're spending with their general education peers, and if they're not able to spend lunch or extracurriculars or other time with their non-special education peers, there needs to be an explanation as to why not, and it needs to be a valid reason as to why they cannot be with general education students. Also, any individual accommodations, a projected start date needs to be on there, as well as the location and the service minutes. There will be a spot for district testing. If they're taking district testing, that's fine, but if they are not, there needs to be statements as to why. If the student is older than 16, then any transition services or transition of right services will need to be also on the IEP as well.